be getting one of these later. I love churros. Bitch, I can fuck a churro up. Not be dreaming fuck in front of little kids.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Curly Views for Yous. This is Curly. Looks like Miss Reid uploaded today. I'm just now reading the title, which includes I was a controlling girlfriend and maybe I am the problem. I don't even know if I'm ready for this. I am so anti-Amber because she's an abuser, you know, and I've had experiences with abuse. I don't know. She's just going to keep digging herself into a deeper hole, isn't she? I mean, her whole, like, if you didn't check out the April Fool's video that she did, she fucking got me, and I'm still recovering. All right, let's get into this. Go ahead, Amber. What you got for us today, girl?
Let's Talk, episode 2. I enjoyed episode 1, so I know I'm going to enjoy this one as well. This is literally like a Q&A on steroids. So we're just going to like hop right into it. But let's get into Sweet and Sour.
Bro, she is so big.
This is where I am taking a random YouTube generator. Dog Pasta said, I wouldn't exactly call you clever, ... Cringe, absolutely, but never clever. Said, how do you even masturbate? You can't even reach there. Whoa. Are you in my bed with me? I absolutely can. Trust that. CSF 801. It is also giving fatphobic. Like, she thinks being fat is inherently ugly, but we are the ones being fatphobic. ... I have always been about body positivity, but for me, I think I'm ugly a lot. I have a random day here and there where I'm like, oh, she's cute, but besides that, I think I'm ugly. That's a personal problem. That's not about anyone else. Hey, Lady Son, 89 said,
It's because you are ugly, girl. Like, when I was growing up and she would say to us, you know, God, you're being really ugly right now. And at first I didn't get it because I was young, you know, obviously. And once I understood, it was more of like who you were inside. If you're rotten inside, then that makes you ugly. Like, it doesn't matter how much like aesthetically pleasing you are. If you're a piece of shit inside, like, you are ugly. Like, that's ugly, at least to me.
Dream job at 36. It's never too late to be who you want to be. That is freaking amazing. Congratulations. And that is like motivation and inspiration for all the people who are in their 30s and they feel like it's too late.
And do you see how, like, the way she does that, it's so fucking condescending. And then the look, do you see it? It's so effing, I don't know, like, I'm really excited for whatever this next chapter of my life is. I don't know what it is, but I know that it's going to put me in the spaces that I need to be in, because even it's really tough to be a person who can, like, see through, you know? And with Amber, it's obviously easy. We all see it, you know? I've never pointed out those things, though. I've always had an inkling, you know? I've always been like, oh, that's kind of shifty with, like, people in my life. And to be able to see somebody on video do it, and I'm just, like, getting those same feelings, I was like, I'm thinking about interactions that I've carried with me that I'm now letting go. Interactions where I thought I was in the wrong, but it turns out I'm pretty sure that I was just being lied to. And that sucks. But we're in a healthier space now where we don't tolerate that shit. And yeah, I have no space for it. I don't have any time for it. I don't have I'm putting my energy to, like I said, to the rooms that I need to be in, because this, I think especially with, you know, the computer crusaders, talking behind a keyboard is really easy. And I think that a lot of these trolls, a lot of these ugly people, if you will, have forgotten what a face-to-face interaction is, you know? And I think that's why it's pretty important for you to definitely build your, like, your discernment, your intuition, your, like, your gut feeling, and build that up, because that is a really good lie detector. It really tells you when you're not feeling right, and it's okay to not feel right, but you have to remember that it's your responsibility to correct it. It's hard, but, like, it's definitely worth it. And if you don't, I mean, think about this. You'll get bitches like Amber in your fucking life sitting here telling you that you got to wash her rags after only dating her for a year or so, you know?
08 said, I don't have Instagram. I feel like I miss out on so much. Well, you got picked for the random comment, so it looks like you're not missing out on much. All right, now we're about to do Sip in Community, where every single Monday I post.
2 minutes in, we've already had our first ad.
I do not think you are the problem in every failed relationship you've had. I'm fully aware that I am the problem in some. I'm not the problem at all. And where I am the problem, I have admitted to that ad nauseum.
It's very disheartening watching the end days of someone and then seeing how badly they're going out. You know, we don't really get a peek into this. And I know that, like I've mentioned before, seeing some of these traits that I have within myself, not to the severity of Amber. She's a fucking mess because she hasn't gotten help. I have gotten help. Do I think I've ever been in her mindset? No, I'm not the type to use people. I'm actually really bad at it because I think it's wrong, which I'm really grateful that I have that moral compass within myself, because I definitely come from a lineage of folks who don't mind if they found a wallet, taking all the cash out of it and then throwing the wallet away. I'm not that type of person. Do I think about it? Absolutely. But it goes against me. Like if I were to do it, it would eat me from inside. And I know that. And I don't want to suffer that way. I choose not to suffer that way. I mean, and I watch like true crime shit. Like that's where I really want to focus on the true crime and helping us that are in situations where it doesn't necessarily end well for this one person in the world. And we're actually getting a front seat there to see, you know, how could have this been prevented? What were some of the telltale signs? And I've always said it. She's a cautionary tale, Amber. It's definitely a cautionary tale of, I mean, this could be a scared straight scenario if somebody can, you know, put together a 3-minute clip of her entire existence of just how somebody can just turn out rotten and has no, she doesn't seem to have the drive to want to cut the rotten piece off so she can heal. And, you know, just like, you know, somebody going against their nature and stealing a wallet, it's eating her from inside because this isn't the way people are supposed to live. You know, you're not supposed to be 550 fucking pounds with, you know, this easy ass paycheck. I mean, the fact that this woman's never had a job is completely baffling to me. She, you know, she doesn't ever meet new people. She doesn't ever get out of her vacuum. It's really strange. It's really strange to me.
Me so much that they're not able to see that there's also other people in the equation who also are a problem. How can you expect people to believe things you say when you've been caught lying multiple times? People think I'm lying about things that I am 100% truthful on. Have I lied to protect people that I love and care about? Yes, I have. But when it comes to me, I don't give a fuck.
See, and that's where I was just like asking myself. I do ask myself that, especially as I'm editing, and I'm just like, this girl is a fucking monster. I think it's important for us to we have to stare at the accident to see how we can prevent the accident. Somebody went through a windshield. Okay, how do we prevent that? Seatbelts, right? That's why we watch Amber. For some reason, she thinks that a view is supposed to correlate with the amount of support she has. And I think we've moved away from the support, and now we're just, honestly, like, I'm just here for the end, man. Like, that's what I've accepted of this situation. I've accepted, much as I had other abusers, other abusers in my life, like, I've accepted that the finality of our relationship is going to be me continuing on my forward path, expanding, and the abusers are, I feel bad about saying this, but the abusers are just going to die and deteriorate and go back to the earth where they can be reincarnated and put back together a different way and hopefully making different decisions their next time around, you know? Some, though, deserve to be a toilet bowl cleaner. I'll leave it at that.
You literally have nothing to lose at this point. Do you ever get tired of talking about yourself constantly? Have you ever considered a hobby outside obsessing about yourself? I do. I get so tired of talking about myself, but like, this is my job, so...
I experienced a really bad breakdown. It was like my first one ever, in a sense that I gave up. It's not necessarily that I didn't want to be here anymore, but going feral into the woods, living off the land and bugs seemed better than, you know, where I was at mentally. I was locked away. I put myself away. I retreat on my own because I'm fiercely independent. Hello, trauma. And back in 2020, well, we'll start, say 2019. 2019, I actually moved back home to my homeland and set up housing there with a friend of mine. I had been gone from home for about almost 10 years, almost a decade. I was still in touch with people, you know, on my trips when I would visit home, yes, there were only certain people that I would go see. It did eventually get to the point that when I would visit home, I really wouldn't tell anybody except maybe the one person if I was staying with them, obviously. Because there was a lot of wounds there, you know. Obviously, I'd moved away. There was nothing, you know, to keep me there necessarily. When I moved back after being gone for almost a decade, and jobless, you know, I got fired from my job under, you know, what I perceived as like unjust political bullshit, probably having to do with my color as well. Who the fuck knows? But we're out of that. I hope they all get diarrhea and and stub their toe. I want a toe stub in there too. And I came home and it was as if I had left and everybody kept milling, understandably. But when they saw me come back, it was almost as if they wanted to kind of be like, oh, you know, I knew you'd be back. Oh, it was only a matter of time, you know? It wasn't to celebrate me, you know? It wasn't to tell them about all, you know, what I've learned and how I've expanded and how I've, you know, become more of myself. Like, it didn't seem like the people that I had left caring about and I thought cared deeply about me. It seemed as if, I don't know if it was like a jealousy factor, but I hate thinking it was something envious given how everybody knew my history. Everybody knew what my home life, lack thereof, looked like. Everybody knew because like it wasn't like a secret, you know. I was birthed from two people who never should have been together in the fucking first place. That's a bitter pill to fucking swallow, right? And then when you have your whole town know about it, and you know somebody agrees, looking back on it now, I think I lived in a really naive way in that I thought that myself was the only one that was going to be taken into account. It didn't matter what my family did. It didn't matter where I came from. It was me. And, you know, it doesn't work that way. A lot of people hold on to a lot of animosities or, you know, just memories of things and take them out, you know, on the lineage. And I kind of feel that way. But yeah, I went home within a couple months, within a month or two, because this was 19. This was 2019. Within a month or two, I had to have major surgery for an issue that I didn't even know was happening. It was scary because I didn't feel, you know, supported. And then I have to go through this whole thing where somebody, you know, I have to go to doctor's appointments now and all this jazz. So that definitely started. That's where it kind of kept going. Well, I guess I kept going. My decline, because I was scared and I was leaning on people that I thought, you know, because I was birthed from their womb. For one example, I thought that I was going to be able to lean on, for example, my mom in a maternal sense of, hey, this is scary, you know. But just as with the, you know, 20, 25 years prior to that, like that current situation, she wasn't there. She wasn't a maternal figure. She claimed she wanted to be, but she never did the work. So I had to, that was a whole event in itself, you know, letting that relationship try to grow it and then fizzle into a complete nothing burger. And I had to deal, you know, I've had to deal with that. It's been very difficult. So had the surgery, and then within a couple months, that's when the COVID-19 struck. So March 2020, I'm healing. I'm on, you know, like my 6th week of healing. I plan to go back to work. I go to work for like 2 days, and then everything shuts down. At first, I was very excited. I was like, okay, this is great, you know. And for the first couple years, I coming out of that, I was extremely destructive to myself. I don't think I was my most destructive. I think my most destructive was probably those early 20s would be the most. But I was in what I perceived as a safe environment with somebody that, you know, within a couple months turned into a complete abuser. And these were people that I had held so close to me that I thought they were like my closest. So having those people that I thought I could lean on, especially without having those like familial foundations, without having a foundation at all, quite frankly, it it was another jarring event. You know, it got to the point that I had somebody who I looked up to as a maternal figure. I had them offer me their home to stay in. I was very extremely grateful. I abided by their rules when they would come up with new ones. But within 2 months, I was coming home. This is what stands out, is that I was coming back to the house one day, one evening, I should say. It wasn't too late. It was before midnight. You know, I'm almost 30 years old. And I have a door, you know, I have a key to the door. So, you know, whatever. I enter the home, and from upstairs, I hear her call my name, and she's like, "Curly?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm home." She said, "Oh my God." And I said, "Are you okay?" Like, cause then I'm alarmed. And she calls down again. And she said, "No, I just didn't know who was coming in. You're lucky you didn't get shot." And I said, I'm sure I was silent. Because, and what? You know, I'm still obviously dealing with that, because it was just, you know, I've just decided that I no longer want that person in my life. You know, I'm done with it. Hearing that, I'm still not able to articulate it. And I apologize. But being a person of color and having somebody that you considered like a mother figure to you as you were growing up without a mother, that was a rough statement to hear from her. I decided to let it pass, because that's what I do. I feel like I have to put up with I used to feel like I had to put up with a lot of bullshit in order to keep people, you know, around me, because I thought that's what, you know, family and friends do. Like, you overlook people's shortcomings, and, you know, they didn't really mean it to you, which they don't, but they still do it, and they should still be held accountable. I want to hold anybody accountable, because I thought that that's how I had to keep my connection, you know, to a people, or else I'd just be out here, you know, alone. So that was my first, you know, welcome home. Here's some abuse. Of course, I got it from my immediate family and everything. Just, there wasn't an urge to come in and see me. There wasn't an urge that, hey, we haven't talked to Curly in a while, we should check in. I didn't feel that at all. Meanwhile, throughout life, I had participated in birthdays, nieces and nephews' birthdays, wife's birthdays. I'm talking about my brother in that sense. And then, like, even with my mother, she and I were starting to try to rebuild a relationship, which I thought was going fine. But again, she wasn't able to step up to where I wanted a relationship to be, which I don't think was asking for too much, but I wanted, I mean, like, if you had a mother growing up, that's what I wanted, you know, like, I don't want to get into that right now. That's not what this is about. So I had the familial, my father. I don't think I talked to him till I was home for about 2 years. And then that was because I was starting to get my medical things under control. I started therapy. I started going to the doctor, you know, because I had to have that surgery anyway. So that, like, you know, it took 2 years for me to finally get my head around it, because I spent those first 2 years in just a haze, whether it was drunkenness, whether it was sexual, whether it was alcohol, food, you know, I was just, that's the way that I had learned to cope my whole life. And it wasn't working, thankfully. Also, when I started that healing journey at the same time, just weeks beyond each other, that's when my new roommate, somebody who I had known for 20 plus years, 25 plus years, somebody who was very important to me, he put his hands on me. And I was, my first reaction, and it was so strange to experience, because you always hear about, you know, people's reactions to things, and you think, like, well, why didn't you do this? My first reaction was literally, like, as he's pinning me against the wall, yelling at me, I was in a freeze mode of, like, is this really happening? And then, yes, I answered that. And then I said, and then what's sad is my first thought is, well, what did I do wrong? And in no way did I do anything wrong. I had just gotten back from a trip that I was really nervous about, of you know, flying somewhere post-COVID by myself as I was going through these anxieties that I had yet to have diagnosed. I wasn't on medication. I was trying all of the things to bring myself back, essentially from the brink of death. And I left the house for a couple weeks. I had a wedding to do for a really good friend of mine that I officiated. I did some visitations with my sister friend. I got back home, and I love going to a concert. I think I've mentioned that a couple times. And I had tickets to a concert back at home, which was one of my, you know, okay, you're going to go do this wedding. That's your, you know, that's your excitement thing. Like, everything's going to be okay. Go on the plane. I was traveling by myself, you know, whatever. And to get me home, I was like, oh, that'll be a good incentive for me to go home. I have this concert for this band I really like. But I go home for the concert. I actually invited my roommate with a ticket. And we went to the show. I was so nervous. I did spend a lot of time like in the smoking section, even though I don't smoke anymore. I wanted to get air. So like I did spend some time like outside where I could still hear the band. So like I conquered a huge thing that was holding me back, which was my social anxiety and then being back out, you know, amongst the people after COVID. And within a week of me being home, after talking to him almost every other day while I was gone, after him saying how excited he was for me to get back, how he missed me, like he even sent me down like my other medication. I think I was on birth control at the time. Like I needed that from back home because I decided to stay another week, and he actually sent it down for everything was fine. I felt good finally. I felt like I was coming back. Yeah, I had a lot of this emotional stuff to deal with, things with him and my feelings for him and him for me, you know, my family stuff I had to deal with still, but I was starting that journey. I had just had my first therapy appointment. I was heading up in a really good spot. And again, another canon moment in my life where I had to decide that I wasn't going to just let everybody do whatever to me so I could stick around with them. It was really hard. But yeah, within a week of me being home, that's when he pegged me against the wall and was yelling at me. And the things he said were just so horrible. And again, I'm there pinned against the wall where somebody that I love is doing this and yelling at me and screaming at me and spits flying in my face. And I just didn't understand. So I started to cry, and that didn't, obviously, because an abuser doesn't give a shit. That didn't spark anything, but he did eventually like get off of me. And I don't remember, I would like to think that I said, you know, get the fuck off of me. I'd like to think that I said that. And I don't know. No, I don't think I did. The anger didn't hit me until the shock wore off. And even then I got so angry that all I did was stonewall him because, you know, I was still living there when, you know, apparently a safer instinct that I wish I would have had was you need to get the fuck out yesterday. But I stayed, and I didn't talk to him. We just cohabitated or whatever, for about a month. And I'm really good at ignoring people. When you have a upbringing such as mine where your family, it doesn't have any of those connections, like, unfortunately. And then, you know, with my ADD that wasn't diagnosed back then, like, object permanence is definitely a thing. And I can look through you once you've hurt me to the point that I don't want to anymore, you know, or I'm not ready yet, because I'm definitely the one who gives the olive branch. And it took about a month. And of course I was the one who had to say something. And, you know, I said, listen, I don't know what that was about, but like, I miss you. I want to be friends with you still. Things like that. Now I've learned that what I had in relation to that partner, that friend, that family member I considered, the person I knew for 25 plus years, the person I thought who like maybe liked me, you know, I said, listen, like that, I was like, are you even sorry? Do you even want to be like in my life? And he told me, yeah. Like, he said, of course. He said, I didn't mean to get so like angry like that. And I said to him, well, like that really like hurt me. Like that was really it was a little much. But looking back on it now, I should have left. I should have filed a police report and then I should have left. If I could do things differently and everything lined up the way that it did to that moment, ideally I would have got out of that situation as safely as possible and then alerted the police and immediately left. For some reason, I thought that would be more difficult to do than to just stay. But isn't that the mind of an abused person?
Crystal's mom and me. I'm not going to get into the whole Beck and Destiny, like the mom situation between that. But yeah, there was some rough stuff going on there. But at the end of the day, there was also a lot of love. And I have proof of that. Why do you think all of your relationships end up failing? I'm only going to speak on my side of things, definitely because I don't know how to regulate. I get too extreme, too attached, too obsessed, for lack of a better word. I'm extremely sensitive, and I have had controlling habits in the past. It's always going to be completely at random.
Okay, so my question is, if you could choose one reaction channel to eliminate, not from lives, from YouTube, from talking about you, they voluntarily choose to stop talking about you, who would it be and why? And I feel like it would be Snowflake, but tell me if I'm wrong.
Oh my god, that's actually a really freaking good question. More than likely, I would choose Snowflake or the Angle because they're the two that take really serious situations that have happened to me in my life.
I love it. Okay. All right. Now we're back. We're back, baby. I am very pro Ankle because of their delivery. I feel like, yeah, sometimes it's mean, but sometimes we need to be mean to mean people. And I'm all about that. Like, let's go. So I'm definitely going to support them. She's not bringing up Charlie Gold, which she better not, because Charlie will eat. No, she wouldn't. She doesn't want to. No. Anyway, if you don't check out Charlie Gold or The Ankle, definitely go check them out. Mr. Snowflake as well. Everybody, just check out everybody. They're all hilarious.
Alone.
Amber, this is my third attempt at voice note. That's not swear either. I've been watching this in context for like 7+ years. I also have BPD. I've done some very bad things in my life, which I regret. I've changed, etc.
I genuinely relate to that.
And sometimes it's really hard because I think you're a very likable person, but you
Thank you.
to do really messed up stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is I want to really believe that you regret those things and you want to change.
I mean, this looks like real emotion from her, which is nice. See, her skin is starting to get flushed like she wants to cry.
Because I know how hard it can be, and I think.
And again, I believe that. I think this whole persona that Amber has definitely is due to the traumatic events of her childhood. The thing is that for whatever reason, she never saw that that's not a decent way to live. Like that's very it's just a very negative way to be. When you see other people, well, I guess because she never had anybody around her, really. But, like, she was in and out of the foster homes, allegedly. Did she really just sit there on a couch and people tended to her? Like, you have to get up and do stuff. People are annoying as well. I can't imagine people leaving her alone even if she asked. I don't know.
My question would be, like, if you could change one thing, like one situation in your life that you think has steered you in the wrong direction, what would you have changed, and where do you think you could be in life now had you acted differently or done something differently, or maybe you wouldn't change anything? I don't know.
Normally when people ask this question, it's very much like, what do you wish wouldn't have happened to you that would make your life different now? But I took your question as like, what do you wish you wouldn't have done? If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but that's kind of what I got out of it. And for me, it's without a doubt the controlling.
I didn't hear any of that in the question. What I heard is, what would you have changed in your life to change the trajectory of where you are now? Like, does she not realize that, like, every moment led her here? Like, she's the creator of her universe.
Nature that I had with Beck. Like, sometimes I look back at it and I'm just like, wow, I regret that with every single part of me.
Wow, I can't believe I actually get to talk to you. Hi.
Hello.
And you are right when you say people who publicly...
I just heard your kitty.
Leave you good comments do get bashed. Because I am one of them.
Oh.
But I don't care when people say nasty things to me. It doesn't bother me.
I feel bad about it because it's like, people don't deserve that. I'm glad that you have that, like, strong nature about you, but it's just... And by
bashing, I'm sure this person means that people are telling them the truth of this fucking monster, and they're still saying, oh, but she's still human, and we should support her still. Like, no, why would you support her going to get a fucking ice cream cone with her mom every fucking weekend? Like, no. There comes a time where you have to stand up and be like, listen, what you're doing is fucking wrong. You look like a fucking clown. You are a fucking clown. You're abusive at that. So you went even further than clownish behavior. No, you're not getting bashed. You're getting told the fucking truth. And you're deciding that, probably because you have somebody in your basement, that what she's doing is okay. Fuck off.
Like, I feel horrific because some people don't have that strength, Okay, let me keep listening. Sorry.
But my question for you is, what is one thing that...
And it's not strength, it's fucking denial.
...you have said out loud to the public that you wish you could have taken back? Or maybe one thing you have done that you wish you could have taken back?
That's literally what she interpreted the last question to me. Like, what is this? This is bullshit.
Please don't ever stop making videos and always ignore the haters.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I love you too. So I think one thing I wish I would have never shared was the abusive relationship that I was in when I was a teenager. Without a doubt, I wish I would have never, ever vocalized that.
Okay, hey Amberlynn.
Hello.
And like, that's all she has to say about it. She doesn't realize, oh my God, she's so stupid. What would have been, in my opinion, what would have been an abusee who wants to heal, wants to get over the prior traumas, their response could have been that, right? And then seeking help for that issue, finding somebody that I could talk to about that issue. She doesn't go that far. She just says, oh, this happened to me. Now I'm going to be a shitty person. Let's go.
All of these girls,
fuck them all.
If you had to describe your dream date, what would it be?
Oh my God, this is so stupid.
Okay, all right, so we're going to...
This is where Amber starts to hit my sympathy bone for her. She has no idea what these places are like. I've been some traveling. I'm a traveler. Plus, I have extended family in Vegas, so I've been to Vegas more than a handful of times within my life. Like, I've even taken like weekend trips. I used to live 4 hours from there, so I'm pretty familiar with Vegas and both sides. Not only just like, you know, the strip, the gambling, the debauchery, but also the chill, you know, family-owned businesses, all that kind of shit side. And I don't see this date in Vegas ever. Yeah, even when myself and ex, I mean, I guess we kind of did that. We did tra-la-la along. Okay, I'll give it to you, Amber. I'll give it to you.
Get to know each other, and then...
But then, you know, my partner turned out to be extremely abusive, and yeah.
What goes down? I don't know. I'm very just like laid back. I just want to have fun. I love going out, doing things, and genuinely feel like I just described my most recent relationship.
Vegas is a lot of fun. It's definitely, like, when I was growing up, it was definitely more geared towards like adults and things like that. But as the years have passed, I made this comment one of the last times I was out there. It's like they made adult Disneyland in a way, because now like the hotels have the hotels are a ride now, comparable to Disney. Like the Link Hotel, for example, has a Ferris wheel now. There's New York, which has the like New York scene. Like there's the Empire State Building, like in smaller form, you know. And there's a roller coaster. They have Paris I don't think it's called Paris, but they have the Paris hotel, and they have an Eiffel Tower that you can go up and have a meal in, which is really cool. That it's just, you know, those are like cool adult experiences to, you know, say that you did. And I don't know, like I don't see Amberlynn in Vegas. I don't see her in LA, but like that's because of the person that I know her as now. Like there's no way that you're going to be able to scoot and boot in either one of those cities. Vegas is all about walking. It's hot. Oh my God, it's so hot. I like to go to Vegas like a snowbird. So like when it was snowing like in the Northeast, that's when I would like to go out to Vegas, obviously, and it was like perfect weather. Any hot place during like the winter, like the quote unquote normal winter, like is so great. Like I loved Phoenix in the winter time. I love Vegas in the winter time. Anyway, I don't see, this is such a pipe dream.
Besides, we weren't in Vegas, but regardless, that's my real authentic answer, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Hi, Amberlynn. I'm currently in university getting my degree in English, and I was wondering, if you went back to college, what would you want to study?
Well, that's awesome. Congrats to you. You're going to do great. For me, I definitely would study psychology, because I have always been very interested in the human mind. I like to know, why do we do these things? Why is our brains like this? Tell me more. Like when I was going to college,
I hate all this.
Psychology was my all-time favorite class.
Hi, Amberlynn. I missed your came from Scotland in the UK.
Wow.
My question is, why do you think everyone believes everything that Beck has to say? Because I don't believe any of it. I believe you.
Oh my god,
These are trolls, dude.
Damn, girl. It's just easier. It's just more fun. It's more entertainment. People want to see me in a bad light, so in any way that they can do that, they're going to do.
And then she's gonna feed into it too. She just told us. Let me go back and watch that because I wasn't looking.
Girl, it's just easier. It's just more fun. It's more entertainment. People want to see me in a bad light, so in any way that they can do that, they're going to do that. And that includes believing anyone that comes out against me, even if it's hogwash. And honestly, I feel like sometimes people don't even believe Beck, but they just say they do just to continue the narrative.
So, ooh, girl.
That Amberlynn is the most awful person in the whole entire world. But I just want to say thank you, and also thank everyone else who doesn't fall into that trap. All right, you guys, now she said in her live stream that the psychologist told her she needs to see a specialist. So I was seeing a psychologist for about 9 months, and it was around the 8-month mark where I was finally diagnosed with BPD. So when I expressed that psychologist said I need to see a specialist, it is because they wanted me to heal from BPD, and they did not work with BPD patients in that way. Yes, I was absolutely diagnosed. It's just the psychologist who diagnosed me didn't specialize in BPD. When you are
You spent 8 months talking to somebody who was a specialist that couldn't help you. That's what I just heard.
Diagnosed with BPD, you do not have to be diagnosed by a person who specializes in it, but to heal from it and to do therapy for it, it is better to see someone who specializes.
So now what she's telling us, she does. She always just gives out more information, and then it just more telling that she's just a lazy piece of shit.
For it. So that is what I meant. So obviously
she chooses to be a lazy piece of shit.
That is tail. When the AirPod is in Amberlynn's ear, that means she is in a relationship. That is obviously tail, because that doesn't even make sense. Because if you go back and look at vlogs when I was in a relationship with Feline, I either had the Beats headphones, I had an AirPod in my ear at all times. Literally, that is genuinely just because I don't like the silence. I always have to be listening to something. Amberlynn is an alcoholic. Tail, and a very offensive one at that. Just because I have.
She's just so ugly, dude. She's just an ugly person. I knew growing up that I was gonna have to be careful with things like drugs and alcohol, right? And again, I'm not sure where the inner compass came from, but I'm just so grateful for it. So I knew that, even to the point, 16 camping with my, family and friends, and all the kids are in one tent and they're passing around a bottle of Rumplemints or some horrible shit like that. And I'm sitting there 10, 11. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. I knew that I didn't want to do that. So becoming an adult and waiting until I was turned 18 to, gamble, wait until I turned 21 and drink, maybe 20s. There was a local bar that was letting us in. So in my 20s, when the drinking started to become a thing, to go out at least, I kind of just went at the pace of everybody else, because I figured, okay, if I go at their pace, that'll be quote unquote normal, just won't go beyond that. And I eventually, I think what I did is I surpassed it and was also very social. So I would see one group of friends one night, another group of friends another night, another group, I was just, I get along with a lot of people back then. And that's what I wanted around me was, a relationship, because again, no familial foundation. Plus, I was having a lot of grief things that were happening at home, and that's when my home healthcare stuff was going on and all that jazz. So when one of my family members, one of the ones who stepped in to be a light for me, they wouldn't, it's my parents' side of the or my mom's side of the family, everybody knew what my mom was doing. She was a drug addict, right? But no one really sat down with me and wanted to talk about it, just because they didn't talk about it. Which, now getting older, I see that looking back now. Do I wish that somebody, honestly, just like I wish now that somebody would just, take the time to, or I wish I had more of this, but it's I have to bring this now, to my life consciously. But I just, you everybody, I just want somebody to give a shit and recognize that, hey, there is a problem here and we need to make sure that this girl is going to be okay. Meanwhile, everybody is, making sure my mom's, 18th time getting arrested for stealing something, or, her umpteenth time of taking your credit cards. So you have to shut them down and cut them up. It's, for me, it was really like, well, I mean, I feel like I'm doing all the, quote unquote, right things, the things that are on a positive path that show I'm not going that way. But it was almost as if, well, Curly, you know how to swim and your mom doesn't. So she needs an extra life vest. So keep treading. You're fine. We have to give her another life vest. And she's got one on each leg. She's got one on each arm and one behind her head. If anything, she's building a raft with the life vests she was afforded. Looking back, I feel like that was a definite lapse in judgment for at least the adult who cared about me. But again, like, they had a whole lot of other shit on their plate too. So it was just, I'm happy to at least recognize that now, or at least, come to that realization now with my expansion of learning. But just wanting more care is where it is an easy way to sum it up. I just wanted more care. I was very neglected, and obviously I would want more care. And, the one time that I was in a room with a therapist, I wasn't able to articulate anything. Like, I just cried and then never talked about it again. It was never really brought up again in that way. So it wasn't until, 20 years after that is when I finally got into a room with a therapist again. And like I've told you guys before, like, those first 9 months to a year, like, all I did was cry and be like, like, just crying it out, because I had no one to do that for me. I'd never felt okay to do that with anyone other than myself, if that. But now that I was talking to somebody, it was like, okay, now I can let it out. Yeah, that's why therapy, I feel like, is just talking to somebody who is a professional, who is outside of your circle and you feel safe with, like, just talk it out. And then that way you're at least getting it out and it's not inside of you anymore, like somebody else has heard it,
2 or 3 White Claws once a week during a live stream does not make me an alcoholic. When I go on my live stream, I generally feel like I'm hanging out with a bunch of friends. So does that mean people who are like out?
It's kind of weird how she says, 2 or 3 White Claws during her thing. And it's like, well, yeah, but you just said that you got a 12-pack or a 24-pack. You don't remember which. And like, that's not 3 in a week, ma'am.
Having fun with their friends, or even just in their home a couple times a week. They just have...
I feel like she, like... because she doesn't know what that looks like. You know what I mean? Like, she, like, even back in the Crystal era when she was showing us, like, she's always been awkward in any situation, quite frankly, unless she's by herself talking to a camera. And then, like, her envisioning her perfect evening in Las Vegas. Meanwhile, people who have been to Vegas know how delusional that is. And then, when even in her last vlog, when she was talking about people have normal lives, like, they go out and they go to work and they come home from work, like, bitch, you do not know what that even looks like. Shut the fuck up. Like, you don't know, you have no idea what that even looks like. Like, what are you even saying?
Couple drinks just to feel a little buzz. Does that make them an alcoholic? No. I have voiced my concerns with alcohol in the past, and I'm telling you, it is not like that. The only time I drink is when I am on live stream, and I didn't even drink last night for my live stream. I don't have an unhealthy relationship.
It's because you're a foodaholic. You're an eataholic. You're so messy.
Alcohol, so that does not make me an alcoholic. And I think it's offensive to those who actually do struggle. And it's also painful for me because of what I grew up with. I grew up with a bunch of addicts and alcoholics. All right, you guys, it is time for bad choices. That's where I take 5 of these cards. They're very hectic.
Which is why the whole drinking, like, that's why the whole binging and eating, like, that's your, oh my God, she's so, like, she's vapid. She's just so surface.
I'm just going to choose 5 random ones just to get them going. So here we go.
Those arms, man.
All right, that's fine. All right, first one is, have you ever been punched in the face? That is a yes. Second one, would you get a lot of enjoyment from being a member of the opposite sex for a day? If it's only for a day, then yes. Do you think that you will age well? No, probably not. Have you ever had more than 8 8 shots in one night, probably like once or twice. Would you spend a night in a full porta potty for $10,000? Ooh, I don't know. Let me think. I hate a porta potty, but $10,000 is really good.
I don't think she's ever been. Oh, no, they have the handicap ones that are larger. Where would she have been in a porta potty at, though? Like, she doesn't go out. Let's check out this response to the punch in the face.
If it's only for a day. Punched.
Why'd she say it like that? Oh, yeah, because she's looking at herself. Because Amber is the only victim that can ever victim the victiming. Let's check out her delivery.
This one is, have you ever been punched?
Checking herself out. Then us.
In the face. Probably not.
Look at that face after that one. So sad. YouTube, this is self-deletion in slow motion.
Really sitting there and I just scroll Instagram, I don't know, maybe vlog. So that is the end of this Let's Talk. I hope that you guys enjoyed. I know that I did. I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.
There is a domestic abuse signal that has been making its way around, like the true crime streets. I'll put a little blurb here of what that looks like.